sky, motionless without a sound. Praying I could find you to lift our hopes up from the ground. Whoa. Stories of our heroes, like a video star. Memories and promises of a fallen fighter. Acting crazy, not knowing which way to turn, looking for an answer, way too close to overburn. Images of elders holding on to dreams we made. Knowledge of a new world. The pages tell us how we were saved by you. Stories of our heroes, like a video star. Memories and promises of a fallen fighter. Stories of our heroes, like a video star. Memories and promises of a fallen fighter. Save us from this with your healing kiss. Please tell us your secrets and their weakness. Save us from this with your healing kiss. Please tell us your secrets and their weakness.
Rolling.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to American Slacker Podcast with Matthew Gertz and Jesse Landers.
You'll see here the human male boasts the size of his testicles. I drive great when I'm blood. It's all about the sauce. Good, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Oh man, speaking of fucking, you want popcorn? I'll give you a popcorn kit. I'm just trying to go to Colorado and smoke some weed. Watch your fucking tots, huh? Those are
Welcome to American Slacker Podcast. As always, I'm Matt.
And I am Jesse, and today we are joined by our esteemed guests, DeltaCity, and that consists of our friends here, Phil and Tone.
Why don't you tell everybody what you guys do?
All right, yeah, we're a synth-wave duo from UK. We released an album end of last year. Currently working on our new album, which is hoping to be out in December, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, if if you're into that style of music, we're influenced by people like Gunship, The Midnight, FM84, Time Cop. That's the kind of genre we sit in. So for your listeners, if they don't know who we are, DeltaCity, then that's the kind of music that we do. Probably with a slightly different twist on it a little bit, but yeah. So we've been going now, just over a year really. And then we're working on our second album now. So just keep doing it, man.
We've been watching your journey for a while now, and if you actually want to stop this episode and tune into episode 123, that was the first time we had these guys on, and we talked a lot about that, and that was really, that was probably 6 months into your journey, really, as becoming DeltaCity, really, right?
That's correct, man. Yeah,
that was really the beginning. Yeah,
that was the start of it all. Yeah, I mean, on that show, obviously, we talked about it. We talked about how we kind of, we'll meet up regularly for a long time in my home, and then we just agreed to
never look back, man.
Yeah, never look back, man. Just agreed to make a song. Yeah, so we made our first song, and that transpired into an album after about 6 months. I mean, we made that pretty quickly. That was speed. Early work for us, I think we've come a long way since then. I think we've learned a hell of a lot since then, in terms of production skills and lyrics, across the whole patch, really. We've picked up so much. So,
yeah, I've got to say, especially listening to your newer stuff, it's just like, you can hear it. You guys are on the journey.
I put it down to old age. I think I need to get a younger singer on board, man. 20-somethings that can
Is it just fitting recording in between life stuff, or just a motivating factor?
No, it's just getting harder to write fresh stuff and not trying to repeat myself, I think.
Yeah.
And with your inspiration, do you feel like you need to go out and see new things, do new experiences in order to, get that spark?
I don't really write music like that. I try and get a story in my head. Sometimes I try and write a little story and then write a song around the story. So I don't really, sure, there's probably personal stuff going into it, but I'm not writing about personal experiences. Yeah. I'm writing more about, I don't know. Phil will give me a track with a title, and I'll either change the title or I'll work off of that title and try and think of a story around it.
Yeah, sometimes I try and come up with quite creative little titles, and even with Hang On, the last single that we released, that was inspired by the game Super Hang On, and that was actually worked with a friend of mine. He kept saying to me, he's like, you've got to start remixing old Master System and Mega Drive games. And I was like, you know what? That's my era. I love all of that. I'm into gaming. So I was like, let me have a listen. So I started listening on YouTube just to some of the old, sound scores from these games. And there was a certain song in Super Hang On that I listened to, and I was like, I love this, because they've got that feel. That's where we originate from. That's our genre of music. We were born in the 80s. So, I kind of heard this song and thought, I didn't copy the song at all, actually. No copyright done, so you can't sue me, Sega. But what I did is I kind of just, picked out the chords they were using, and that's what I went with. So I've got that sort of feel to it. It was the same, not the same chord progression even, but just, the notes within their chord progressions, I guess. And that's how I created that song. And then
you had the basis for that, didn't you? Yeah. I wasn't even here. It wasn't even.
Well, you were. No, yeah. So me and my mate Jake kind of come up with the idea, and we just started the track one night, just sitting in the studio drinking and smoking, and was just like, let's come up with this. And it was really basic what I laid down originally, and then that's when you know, sort of Tony got involved, and we started working on it together, and it built up over as all of our tracks do that. Honestly, I'd love to send you guys our steps in tracks, because the first one is horrendous. It's actually funny. We do these versions whenever I email them to Tone. I version them. So like version 1 is like, you know, it could have been made on a PlayStation 1, like really bad, and then I 0.5 it up every time we take a step, and then we get to version 5 is always the final one.
And actually, the initial backing track, which I'll probably write to, most of the time ends up getting scrapped. And we have the vocal and the chord progression, then we just like strip it back and start again and base the song around the vocal. Then after that, try and get a feeling from that.
Tone's kind of better than me, if I'm honest. Even I'm the producer, it's weird, but he's better at me at doing chord progressions. So Tone plays the guitar. So usually I'll do the track and I stick to my kind of, you know, basic 4 or 5 chords or whatever, and then I'll give it over to Tone, and that's when he starts kind of saying, right, we can, you know, do chord progressions in this bit, and starts doing different adjustments to it and playing around with it, and does like a kind of acoustic set on his guitar, which we'll send you. We've got a vid of one of them as well. We'll send that over. But so he kind of does that, and then comes back to me and says, you know, these are the chords, and then that's when we start creating together. I guess
just a bit of bounce, isn't it? It goes back and forth. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
You'll replicate on synth. Yeah.
It sounds like whatever the original idea is, where it starts, it ends up going very far off of that and making something totally different.
I think it does. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, very rarely do I make a song that stays pretty, you know, at least 80% of what it was like when I first made it. That's like,
I think Hang On stayed almost the same. We added bits, but because there was no vocal in it, there was nothing to.
Yeah,
didn't really need to change it up.
I think I got the chords down on that. And that didn't really take much work. And then it was after we come up, you know, said about the Sega thing. So it's like, let's recreate that. At the beginning of the video, we do our own one saying Delta, in the same tone as Sega, and you know, and then obviously, you were like, you know, Akira's going to go amazing with this, and blended the two, and so that was our video that we put on YouTube.
Still need to send that song. Actually, I want to send that to try and find out who to send it to for the producer of the new film.
Yeah, because they're producing a live action version of that film. So,
really?
If anyone's listening to this show and they really want an artist that could fit their film like that, then
there you go.
On, you know,
right.
We'll put it in the show notes so that it comes up in the search engines. You know,
I think Leonardo DiCaprio is producing it. I think, or something. Is he? Something to do with it.
Leo is a big fan of ours, so I'm sure he's listening.
Awesome. I hope so.
We'll tell Henry Zabrowski, and then he'll tell Leo DiCaprio.
Exactly.
You're connected, mate. You're American. You must know these people. You know, that's the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah, Hollywood's like this big, you know.
You got to know everyone.
I'm going there in a few months, so I'll make a word. You know?
Just stop. That's so there. That would be awesome. A live action version of Akira. I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, man. And you know, you're seeing more and more of a market since like films like Drive, you know, pulling in Kavinsky. That made a huge wave of Kavinsky's Night Call making that appearance in Ryan Gosling's film, and like it was fucking so fitting, man. I want to see more of this retro, the new wave, the new synth. I mean, it's fucking perfect for film. It's like the soundtrack is like, I mean, that's why I watch it, like, and listen to it. Like, it's like between, like, most artists have a common theme. They do the videos that match, you know, the retro waves, and I love you guys do the samples. Like, I was the Star Wars, you know, the fucking RoboCop, the shit we grew up on, and you know, maybe I don't know, maybe it's just the age group, but it's just so fucking interesting.
Resonates, doesn't it?
Now I'm just sucked into your video here with the Akira animation. I put it up on my other monitor here. It's it definitely you guys have that different sort of sound, you know, that you don't hear that often. Like, we've made references to, you know, Kavinsky, Time Cop, and stuff like that, but you guys have something uniquely different. I think it comes from the way that you build these songs, like you were describing before. Possibly. It starts with this one idea, and it totally turns into something that creatively blows everything out of the water.
Awesome.
Thanks, painting that initial.
Cheers. Yeah.
Brilliant, man. That's lovely to hear stuff like that, man.
I think we are super conscious of not copying
Yeah.
other synthwave acts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a hard
Honest-
game. Yeah, I mean,
It
yeah,
is.
but it's all DIY, like we've talked about before. I mean, it's just, you know, I watched that after we had to talk last time. I watched a doc on Time Cop and how he's like, you know, just a normal
Yeah.
dude, has an everyday job,
Yeah.
works 60 hours a week, and just like produces this on the side. And millions of people love his shit. Like, it's crazy.
I love it,
You know,
man. I
and-
love his story. Yeah.
Man,
Awesome.
it's so
I know.
inspirational. Yeah.
Now-
It is inspirational. Yeah.
One thing that you guys had mentioned last time you were on the show that I'm interested to see where it ended up or where it is in the process. You mentioned a comic book possibly, or like some sort of tale going off of your music, which is
Off of that
something that I
yeah.
think would be super interesting and I don't want to lose
No.
sight of.
You know
No.
what? We would still definitely do that, but I just don't think we've got enough people that would buy the album yet. I don't know. Maybe there is, but I don't know.
It's, do you know what? It's one of them ones
I'd
that
love to do that.
Yeah, I find it you know, checking social media. You know, we haven't got masses of followers on Insta. We haven't got you know, thousands of people watching our videos or even streaming our music on Spotify. And I guess to invest in something like that, because you know, if there's any comic artists out there that want to work with us, awesome. You know, and I think that's maybe where we can do a bit better is networking with people. I think that's something we have.
That's the beauty of the internet. If you know,
Yeah.
you could reach out to someone like that who likes your sound and they're like, yeah, I have those skills. Let me help out.
That's
and
it.
then the digital era too. I mean, there's a lot more openings for that now. I feel like
Absolutely,
digital
yeah.
comics are the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting way to do it. You know, drop it with
Yeah.
the album and say, you know,
Yeah.
you buy the album, you get a free e-comic with it that goes along. I think
awesome,
that
man.
that's
Yeah.
something. It's a unique idea that, you know, I don't hear
Do you
too
wanna-
many musicians
Do
talking
you want to be our
about.
manager?
I don't-
I was like, hey, this is the manager, guys. Shit.
I don't know.
I
I
like
could,
this, man.
our last guest warned us about the the foils of
The
being into
pitfalls,
artist
man.
management.
We'll look after you, man. I promise. Yeah,
The
you'll
phrase-
never
the
be
phrase-
hungry with us, I
The
promise
phrase
you that.
herding cats coming up. I mean, no, but you guys had mentioned it, so I wanted to ask again because I thought it was such a unique idea.
Well, no, we have. I said to you guys last time as well. My brother's an illustrator, and we finally, I think, got him to do some artwork for our new track for the,
Oh, wow.
the single cover.
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, we haven't seen nothing yet, but he
Yeah.
seems keen. He seems keen to get back into his illustration again, and he's an awesome illustrator.
Yeah, he's I mean,
Well,
he's-
there you
he's,
go.
Yeah, published illustrator.
So, you know, if ever he
Perfect
does manage
opportunity.
to put his finger out,
yeah,
we'll,
he could definitely do that. I mean, I get, you know, I think for me, yeah, I mean, it was a great idea. I just feel like with that album and where we were in terms of, you know, people knowing us and plays and stuff, and you know, it kind of just didn't fit right then. Yeah, maybe it would have helped, but I don't know. But yeah, I guess networking would have probably helped us more with that and trying to get in touch with comic artists and seeing
But
if
I
they
mean,
wanted to collab.
at the same time, you want to make music, and like
That's
the
it,
more time
yeah,
you can
yeah,
put in,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
blame
yeah.
you at all.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. That's
you're
what
not
I
you're not
mean.
trying to be Stan Lee over here.
Yeah,
and it is hard enough
Rest
just
in
finding the-
peace, I should say, I guess.
yeah, true.
And
yeah.
it is hard enough just finding the time to actually do the music. So the other stuff
Yeah.
would just be.
That's it, yeah. You know, we're both working fathers, and it's you know, it isn't easy, I guess, to find that time to do everything. But we do, we make it work, and we've got supportive wives, so they're not, you know, they're not too bad with us, are they? Get annoyed a bit, but never mind.
There was another thing on the last episode that you were on. I don't believe you were married yet. It was
No,
right
it wasn't.
before.
No, yeah.
It was right
yeah,
before
you're
the wedding.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I got married in October, so yeah, no, that went well, thank God, man. The day before there was a massive storm.
Oh no!
So yeah. Literally, I woke up in the morning to like, because we had a
There's a
big
marquee
marquee,
tent.
yeah, yeah, like there was about 10 guys just like hammering it in, and they were like, we were an hour away. Like they turned up at 6 a.m, like. Because in the middle of the night was this big storm, and they said you were like an hour away from losing the whole thing, and it was all set up. I'm talking like 180 people tent. You know, this thing was massive. With all I'd set all the dinner plates up the day before. Everything was set out, and it was like, oh my God. But luckily, thank God, it went really well, and the day brightened up, and it was lovely. So
speaking of the wedding, you should check out on our YouTube channel as well. I had to do a speech, and I'm like, I'm shit at doing speeches. So I'm just gonna write a really fucking stupid song.
You gotta watch the song. If you ain't heard the song, I put it on there, yeah. Just because now, as much as it's embarrassing for me, because he does rinse me in his song, really as bad as it can get in front of like every loved one. Like, so, you know. But you've got to watch it because it is hilarious. It's brilliant.
Is this going to be sampled in a future song? Possibly?
Never. No. I don't think
oh man. Well, you know, people are going to be like, all right, I got to fucking see this now.
Yeah.
I'm going to stalk you on YouTube trying to find this shit.
Do you know what? It's so funny. I don't care. Like, it's awesome.
Oh man, everybody has those moments. That's the fun thing of life. It's just a fucking roller coaster, and random moments like that. It's like, fuck, where am I going with this? All right.
Yeah. You nailed it, man. I had no idea because I had two best men as well. My brother was a best man, and he gave a speech before that was, you know, it got me in tears because it was funny, but it was a beautiful speech. Mm-hmm. And then I look over and I just see Tone set up with his guitar over by the DJ, and I was like, what the hell's he doing? And then and that was it, man. It was like a 3.5-4 minute song of just me getting rinsed. There was some heartwarming bits in there, I guess, but most of it is me getting rinsed badly.
So that is that on the DeltaCity page on YouTube?
Yeah, put it on there, man. Yeah, let's watch
is it really?
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
We'll
I just want to say that what he's talking about is not true. Yeah, I just want to put it out there.
It's all right. I've been maligned on the show plenty of times. You'll get over it. Yeah, we'll definitely post a link up to that on the Facebook page so that everyone can check that out.
That one out. I'm deleting it tonight.
Oh man.
Yeah, so yeah, man. So yeah, married life now. It wasn't. I mean, we've been together for 10 years. So we got 2 kids. Two kids. So yeah, so it wasn't. You know, when we got married, it wasn't like, you know, we've been, you know, we've been married for years anyway.
Saying you enjoy your wedding.
I loved it, man. I just didn't like you cussing in front of our whole family.
Okay, and so we can clear this up. All right, your wife is Tone's sister.
That's correct.
Yeah. So you guys are bound together no matter what, by the law at least.
That's it.
So no breaking up here. We don't gotta. Yeah, we got it.
Well,
you guys are bound to contract.
If it's good enough for the Gallagher brothers, we can do it. You know, we'll start a feud. That's fine.
So now you're technically brothers in a band as well.
Yeah.
Get a third in there, and then it'll be like the Jonas Brothers, and then it'll go international pop tour.
Yeah.
Jonas Brothers of New Wave.
Yeah.
I like it, Matt. That's a good
You guys can be the ones to break it to the mainstream. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
If my bro gets in there, illustration will be a
true,
treat.
isn't it? Yeah.
There you go.
Let's get it
Whole
up.
family of artists.
I was gonna ask, anybody got any sisters here?
They're starting to take more of a cut though. This is the problem. They're moving in on me, man. I feel like.
Oh yeah, more mouths to feed.
I'm on 20% now.
And also, our daughters are getting into singing as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Both our
they
daughters are loving it.
they're only young at the minute, but they got good voices.
Yeah, really impressed, man. It's weird because, you know, my daughter was 9 years old, and it was just out of nowhere, really. Gina showed me a photo. My wife just showed me a video, of her singing. I was like, what? I never knew she could do that. And I've had her in the studio and stuff, practicing, like remixing some of the pop songs that she listens to. But she's it's
really
cute. Yeah. I know. So yeah, I love that, to be honest. So
kids will surprise you like that. You never know what they're gonna come up with.
It's
kind of
gonna
what
be
the talents
amazing.
are, isn't it?
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's like, you know, like you're watching this defenseless thing that's just like can't even fend for itself, and then all of a sudden one day it's fucking belting out these lyrics.
Little Whitney Houston in there.
A 9-year-old spitting Eminem bars. Like, what's going on?
There you
No, I'm joking, she doesn't. But...
Lose yourself in the music.
But,
so it's a family affair. The music over there, it sounds
like
like
the Jacksons.
Hopefully a little happy. Maybe it wasn't exactly the best father figure.
Partridges? I don't know. We all know how child stars turn out. You know, not too much pressure.
No.
You say not too much. I say not enough. That's how diamonds are built, man. Under
extreme amounts of pressure. That's what you're doing, Matt.
diamond theory here with Matt.
Oh man, that's awesome. I
So-
love it. I'm gonna
So
use
you
that.
guys are essentially looking towards the end of the year. That's the big goal. It sounds like.
I think that's the plan. I think obviously between now and then we don't know what could impact our lives, I guess, but that's where we're aiming towards. I think we're on track for that. I mean, yeah, originally we wanted to do like a year release, so a year later,
July,
July we were going to release a new album, and just with the wedding and loads of other things that are going on, and
I think, like I said, though, it's just
everyday
taking because we're just getting more involved in it. I think it's getting a bit more in depth,
Yeah.
isn't it? So things are taking a little bit longer.
And I think last time we've done a concept album, so for me anyway, I think
it was easier for me as well. Yeah, writing because
because we had the story
just
from the
knew what
get
we
go,
were
so we
writing
knew what the next song had to be about.
Oh,
to
with
fit in with the
digital
story.
memories. Yeah.
All of that was one big story. So I think it's difficult now because now we're doing different songs, but obviously we want to keep it on the same sort of vibe, I guess, because that's us. That's what we love talking about. Or singing about anything that's kind of inspired by the 80s pop culture, with robots and sci-fi and
sci-fi stuff.
Now, are you guys willing to reveal the story, or is that more like a spoiler and you don't want to you want to let people experience?
Not what on the last album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've got the story on. Yeah, I mean, it's on. God, if I can even remember it all now, but yeah, it's on our bio. The story, or it's really shortened down, but it's on our bio on our Bandcamp page.
Okay.
So people can check it out there. But it's basically.
I didn't know if it's like how like with Game of Thrones, people don't want spoilers when they're going into it, kind of thing.
No. Do you know what I think? I think a lot of people won't get it initially, if that makes sense. It's not that obvious.
To listen,
listen
to song to song,
But when you know that that's it, then I think that does make it kind of like, oh right, that's how it follows on. I mean, it's basically, in a nutshell, it's about a kind of prophet type psychic who lived hundreds of years ago that started having visions, and we based it on a real person from Yorkshire called Mother Shipton or whatever. So she used to have visions and see like future events and stuff. From like the 1500s or whatever she was around. So she's only a part of that story, but she basically sees what's going on, and she starts seeing like a bit Notre Dame. She sees like the invention of like the nuclear bomb. So the first song is really about her. The second song is about like Trinity breakdowns, about like nuclear bombs and that creation of ultimate destruction. And then it goes into like today's tech. So digital memories itself is really
mobile phone technology.
Yes, it's about someone who's lost his wife, and he's reminded every day about like the images that flag up on Facebook and things like that. So she's seeing these kind of images of like that kind of technology, and then it goes into after that.
What's the next song?
Singularity. So after that, then Singularity, which is an instrumental,
AI consciousness,
which is basically about like AI becoming reality. And then it's artificial love. So he gets an idea to create his wife again and use like all the sort of tech that he had before and all the recordings and everything else to try and recreate his wife. So it's quite a deep story. So he recreates
like digital Frankenstein.
Kind of, yeah. So he recreates his wife, and then basically it's like outlawed that humans and robots can't coexist or anything like that, and then a massive war, which is kind of where we get the Matrix kind of stuff.
Yeah,
from.
Silver
Horizon. Like that happens. There's a war between humans and robots. And they basically both completely wreck the planet. These two like lovers, if you like, because they end up falling in love during that story, end up getting split apart, and they have to take different types of ships to get off the planet and go to other planets further away, to get off from Earth, because Earth's completely ruined. And then so that splits them apart, and that's later on in the album where we're talking about that kind of like splitting apart of love and
And it just goes through to the end, doesn't it? Them finding a way to be together.
Yeah, then they find a way again with some kind of technology to be
VR
able to kind of like reconnect, on their different in a virtual world, from the different planets that they're on, and bring it back together. So that's the story in a nutshell. But yeah, so.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, I can dig the time together to build an overall giant saga. Like I think that's very unique, and it was something that was big in music back in the day, and it kind of lost its touch, and now it's coming back.
Yeah, building stories, man. I love that. We're not doing that with the new album. It isn't a concept album. It is just individual pieces of work that I think fit well together. We're going to have a mixture of mainly vocal, but instrumental tracks on there as well. Probably a few. We only had one and a half really on the last album, but this is probably going to have 3 sort of instrumental style tracks on there as well. So
something like that thinks right.
Yeah. Basically, if I don't make them, it ain't gonna happen. So, I think it's a nice breakup. I found out on the first Singularity for me wasn't my favourite track off the album, but I think it kind of split it nice because it was a lot of vocal stuff, and then it just kind of gave that breakdown then into something else, and then it built back up into more and more vocal type tracks. So.
I think on this album, we're going to do more somewhere in between, where it's an instrumental track with maybe just a hook or something.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, so we're going to do a couple like that. So that new one, I posted up the video the other day that I'm working on, which has got a sample in it from re-recorded though. It is a sample, but it's from the Explorers film. I don't know if you remember the Explorers from the 80s, where they build that spaceship and go up from a what do you call it? Yeah, you remember
River
the one
Phoenix
like the kids River Phoenix in it?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the kids with the little space. It was like really like
flight. Is this flight of the something?
No, not Flight of the Navigator.
Okay.
Very
Explorers.
Similar.
He has dreams basically. This kid, and he has dreams to build something, and he's got like a scientific friend. Like somehow this kid's Einstein in it at like 12.
Yeah, it's one of his first films. Yeah,
and they end up building a spaceship. So I've taken a little sample from that where he sort of says at the end with the alien, he's like, "What is it?" And again, this is taken from a really old 40s film, and he's like, "It's a stuff that dreams are made of." And I love that clip. So the new track that I've just posted a little snippet of is very kind of very synth-wavy in it, the way that one works. And I've used that sample for it. But again, we might come up with a hook within that as well, just to make it a bit more interesting as well and a different dynamic. But yeah.
With all the story that you had just explained, you explored some very deep topics. Like, I feel like we like you said, in a nutshell, we sort of just glossed over them. But even like with I don't know if intentionally it was done, but with Singularity, how you said it was no vocals. And it's about AI. I would imagine that sort of fits hand in hand. It's like you're not necessarily going to have like thoughts and like vocal ideas inside a computer. So an instrumental would lend to that, which makes it so much richer as a song.
In a sense, it was like that because when you listen to that song, like a lot of the kind of riffs I play in it are meant to be like AI talking in their, like computer voices talking in their voice. Mm-hmm. So they're not talking, but the actual rhythm of it all and the different sounds are then kind of communicating within that song. So again, a lot of people probably wouldn't get that just by listening to it. So it's nice that you kind of recognise more of the story that it's about that. But yeah, that kind of was aimed towards that, really, that it's them talking, and that's why there is no lyrics in it. But
amazing.
When you're writing an instrumental, I mean, it's like you're trying to find that melody to replace the vocals in general as well. I mean,
creating a feeling,
you want to like almost replicate the idea of like somebody like hearing a voice, but it's all
it's all synth,
whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a completely different way of writing music as well, isn't it? The song structures are so different in an instrumental.
Yeah.
They're nothing like traditional.
Yeah, they're totally different. Yeah, I mean, when you start, I guess I'm more used to that because I used to do like dance music and stuff back in the day. So I was more used to making instrumentals. Vocal tracks actually are the things that I didn't do as much of. And when I did early on in my sort of production, it was mainly kind of hip hop and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't from this genre. I didn't have a lot of singers to work with back then. It was more hip hop or rap artists and stuff. But yeah, this has been a massive learning curve for me. This whole process, starting this from scratch, it really is like I've had to learn everything from scratch. I feel, you know, it's a totally different kind of beast to making what I was making before. I've heard some people say, "Oh, synth-wave's easy to make" and stuff like that. I really don't think it is, honestly.
I think you've developed a sound though in your production that that does all tie together. It's not like just some random random music program, and it does. You create a sound for yourself as a producer.
I feel, but I feel that's where maybe like sometimes I feel like my hip hop influences, even though you don't hear that, it is in there somehow. Like even in some of the breaks and things like that, it's, you know, that, and again, like Tone's way more from like a kind of acoustic sort of band background, you know, that's kind of but I think we work. That's why we work so well together. You know, it's kind of two different things, but it just interlock. I don't know, you know.
But it works. That's for sure.
That's what it is, yeah.
And this part of being a band is mashing of the styles, you know, and really blending to each other. And I see it as the progression, you know, from your beginnings of Digital Memories to now the tracks that you're releasing individually, you know, Highway Runner to Hang On, which is, I mean, Hang On's part of the, are they both part of the new album, or is it just Hang On?
Yeah. Nah, they're both
Highway
going to be
Runner as well.
Highway Runner as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So, they will both be on there. At this stage, anyway. But yeah, I think they're both strong songs. You know, I mean, we've had some small success with
Highway Runner.
Yeah, we got played on BBC Introducing, which was awesome with that.
Oh wow.
I was following that. That's crazy, man. And that must have been, was that like shocking? You're like, oh shit.
Man, I didn't know. So
reduced the man to tears, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah.
That's nice to be recognized.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It was, you know, and you know, it's one of those. Hundreds of artists get played on that type of show throughout the country, you know, each week, and it's, you know, but for me, it was just a special moment because I think the things that she was saying as well was just like, it was really nice stuff about us.
Nice comments,
you know, because we're not necessarily radio friendly because our tracks are quite long, and you know they want really short 3-minute songs on radio. And
stuff they can pop an ad between.
Don't sugarcoat it. Radio sucks, man. It's I mean, Spotify's gonna fucking ruin radio, like things like that, where you can actually just access and AI decides, you know what? Oh, this song is similar to something you really like to listen to a lot. Okay,
absolutely.
You like this? It's way better than fucking radio, man. Like playing the same fucking manager produced. Like, let's not. Everybody's shaped by a manager that's on the radio. They're shaped by somebody else in the industry. It's not their 100%. Original thought when they were like, I want to be a musician. You know, there were people like you, like that want to create a sound, and then somebody's like, let me tell you, you're gonna do a little bit of this instead of that, and it's gonna get you far, kid. Trust me. You know?
But still, to be recognized, that must have been really cool.
Oh, I mean, man. Yeah.
And it was awesome. They played the whole song.
They played the whole song for
7 minutes.
Wow.
It's nearly 6 minutes, that song.
Oh, was it nearly 6?
Yeah, I think it's just under.
She did warn him, she's like,
it's quite a long, it's quite a long one, but
they played it all.
And they played the whole song, and I was like, mate, that is awesome. And I mean, I luckily we caught the show because I think it's bizarre because you upload to their website, you know, and I've uploaded most of the last album, and they didn't play any of it, which is fine. You know, I get they get a lot of submissions and stuff, and I thought I would have heard before it was going on a show, but I literally was just on my Facebook and I just happened to hit notifications, and I just saw you've been tagged, like DeltaCity's been tagged BBC, and I was like, what's this? And went into it, and 20 minutes from that point, it was like, yeah, your song, you know, that show's starting. I was like, oh shit, I haven't even got a radio, you know, so I'm downloading apps and, you know, trying to bloody get it on, and it's like,
find me a radio.
Literally, my neighbours thought I was crazy, knocking on doors, like, and then, and then we
were looking at you like, what the hell's he need a radio for? It's like, wait, the car. That's right. Those things every
I didn't think of that. So so then Tone lives around the corner, so he literally rushed down And then we managed to catch a show together. And then the only way we could record it was from off my wife's phone. So it's like, quick, just bloody record it, man. Yeah, so just managed to get that in. You know, we recorded
Get
the
proof.
whole bit.
Get proof of this.
Yeah,
now.
get proof. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We were on the radio, man. Look at that. Oh
Pretty
man,
sad, isn't it,
I've been
really,
doing the
but-
same thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'd be yelling at my girlfriend, "Get over here and record this."
Oh, awesome, man. But yeah, you know, we've
Feeling with it. We've had another couple of radio plays on that song, like internet radio plays.
yeah,
which is-
internet radio. We had another UK kind of local radio station play it, and then we've had some bloggers and stuff right up on us. And we had I love that one that you found. It was just a blogger based in Japan or something, wasn't it? And it just obviously it was all in Japanese, this blog, but it tagged us because it had DeltaCity in it, and we're like, what the hell's this about?
So I saw like pictures of Ed 209 and I was like, are they talking about us or just Robocop?
Yeah.
I'd done a Google Translate and they were, it was
It
talking
was
about
about
us.
us, yeah.
Oh wow.
It's awesome. So yeah, so it's nice to know. You know what? That feeling, I think that people like yourselves and are listening to our music is crazy. Like that is a crazy thought that other people outside of our little studio, even though we are getting it on Spotify and that, but the other people that might be playing it in their car or at home, doing the housework.
That's what I like though on Spotify. On Spotify Artists, it shows you how many playlists you're on, and we're on over 100 playlists, man. It's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're on one of mine, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's one.
Yeah.
Found one like Pokemon.
Oh yeah, man.
And now and you have confirmation now that you're being listened to on 3 different continents.
That's it.
You got Asia, Europe, North America.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
Making your way around the world.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, man.
So, slow but steady.
Yeah, the world tour will happen soon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna do a pub in Tokyo somewhere, like little bar, like 4 people doing karaoke. It's gonna be awesome.
The one thing I wanted to ask is there a plan for the future to do live? Are you going to do any live shows, or is there been any talk about it? I mean, anything like that?
We're always talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just getting to that point. I mean, we just recently been in contact with another local musician who's a synth-wave musician, and they are actually doing live stuff. And he contacted us saying, we'd love to do a synth-wave night. Are you guys interested?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we are, but we're not.
We're not ready. I think, do you know what? It does come down to time. I think I'm so determined to, we both are to get this album done, and we're enjoying the process so much that to find time to then, practice playing live is almost impossible, isn't it, at the moment? It's so hard, man. So
something has to give, doesn't it?
I think, we've got, it's summer, we've got holidays coming up, we've got, school kids will be off and all of that kind of stuff. So I think possibly once that's kind of out of the way and we start getting into a quiet period of the year, with not much going on, then I think hopefully we'll have most of the album done, and then we can start diverting some attention into that, because it's definitely something we want to do, as petrifying as it kind of is, I guess. But at the same time, like we were talking earlier about the Midnight, and when we saw them live, and watching it. When I was watching them live, as much as I was just listening to the music and just loving it, I was watching as well to see how they did it, how these guys, and obviously they've progressed massively from their early days of going out live, but it was such an awesome show.
What was great about that, their early shows, watching some of their early stuff on YouTube and that, they fuck up, man. They stop half through a song on one of them and we've got to start that again.
Yeah, it's all out of time.
We're new to this. Yeah. We're gonna just do it again.
So it happens. So we're not oblivious that it's going to be, a kind of a bit like our music. I guess it will just progress, But yeah, that for me would be.
I think that will have an impact, though, won't it? On I think that's how people are going to hear about us that are outside of social media or whatever and not following us.
Yeah, that's how I found a lot of bands that I enjoy. Is like at shows they were opening for another band,
Yeah.
And then I'm like, holy shit, these guys are awesome.
I don't think that's something that's going to die, and I think that's definitely. I mean, it's opening a new path, of fans rather than just whatever social media can get you.
Yeah. Sure. Definitely.
But a lot of things that people don't understand is it's not as easy transcribing a fucking new wave song as it is a rock band song, because everybody plays their parts. That instrument's recorded organically from something that can be replicated live, whereas new wave it's okay, what tracks can we replicate live, what tracks do we need to keep that are a backing that we play
Yeah.
solid. Like, it's really intricate, man. It's
It
fucking,
is.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably allows for a little bit more improvisation though too, I would imagine, because then you
can,
could
yeah.
almost take something that you've been doing one way for a while and do it a little bit new and
Yeah.
see how the crowd liked it, see if it's,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's how I'd like to integrate it for me as well, because I, you know, again, back in the day, I used to do DJing and stuff in more of a dance music genre, but you know, I'm kind of used to that, and I've got, you know, my tractor set up and F1 controller, which is like where you can cut up samples and kind of remix on the fly. So I'm thinking that that's probably going to be the part I play, rather than being, you know, sort of just sitting there just playing, you know, one riff on a keyboard or something, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's, you know, for me,
And we would, I think, like to get a guitarist.
yeah, I think we do. We again, after watching the Midnight and seeing how impactful their sax player was on stage, because, you know, for me, as much as I love the band, and, you know, I love they're all amazing, that band, the singer, the producer, you know, and what they're doing is amazing, but the sax player really kind of lit up that crowd.
Yeah, you had said before we had started the show that the sax player for the Midnight jumped in the crowd and was
it's
going
brilliant,
nuts
man.
and
It's
getting all
amazing.
interactive with it.
Yeah, it was
I
amazing.
think it was spontaneous as well, because
Yeah.
like the Midnight, they were just like
they were like, what's going on? And then they were all bowing down to him and stuff. And it was like, you know, what he did, it was just amazing. You know, he ran around the whole place, just, and, you know, he wasn't out of time. It was
Right,
perfect,
yeah.
wasn't he?
And it seems like it's those little elements that actually make the show like that much
Totally.
better or memorable or get people talking
Memorable.
about it.
Yeah, it's definitely memorable.
Well, you said
yeah.
that. I didn't get to go. I bought tickets, but sadly I couldn't go to it. So I had to give them to a friend of mine. But Tony got to see FM84 live.
Oh man, did you see him with
yeah.
Ollie Ride?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
amazing, man.
Fuck, dude, he's one of the best vocalists. Like, if
I know.
you don't even know
Yeah.
about this dude.
I know, it's
You can
crazy,
say-
isn't it?
Identical to how he is recorded in the studio live.
Yeah.
He's a talent, man. He's definitely
fucking tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's definitely one to watch, man. I said to, I put a little a post on or something, or a comment or something, just like on Instagram. It reminded me of Freddie Mercury. His sort of not the way he sings, but the way he just
Swag.
owned the stage.
Yeah.
yeah.
Swag.
He just
Dude,
he completely owned the stage, and he went in the crowd as well and was singing in the
He is-
crowd as well.
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Anybody out there, check out any of fucking Ollie Ride videos. I mean, he'll be a lot of FM84 videos. Running in the Night is a popular one.
Yeah.
The dude is nasty on the stage, and I can't even like the fact that he said Freddie Mercury. It's perfect, because I mean, like, he has like total stage presence, like nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the hardest thing people don't understand is like stage presence. I mean, me and Jesse have had limited stage presence, and it is fucking intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I'm gonna own this shit. Like, I've seen the most confident dudes get on stage, like,
Yeah.
this next song is about, it's like, it's amazing. You put 30 people in front of a dude, let alone a couple hundred, you know?
Yeah,
It's
I know.
wild.
You're not-
That
you're
dude's
not
like
selling-
eating it. It's like
You're not-
spaghetti to him. He's
You're not
slurping.
selling me this live performance stuff, man. I'm petrified now. So,
You guys are kill, man. You know, watch Time Cop. I mean, he's not comfortable,
Yeah.
but dude, people love that dude. He's not
I know,
comfortable. He's
yeah.
sweating bullets up there, hitting his
Yeah.
mixer, fucking
Yeah.
all of this shit. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I know.
Well, that and
You
it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the more
The
you
more
become like
comfortable.
used to it and
That's
comfortable,
it.
and
I think
and
so,
then
yeah.
you learn what there is to be scared. A lot of people aren't like judging you as hard as you think they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
especially if they show up to see you in the first place. They're probably
Yeah.
rooting for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
they're
yeah.
envying. Yeah, they're like, shit. I wish I had the balls to get up on stage.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
Yeah.
they really are. Yeah.
And that was one thing I noticed on the wedding. I mean, that was small scale, but that's the first time I've ever sung in front of anyone other than.
But you say that, I mean, it was
I know, I was shitting myself,
150
but
people,
I had to
and
go
I had to
through a
stand
lot
up
of-
and sing in front of that many people,
Yeah.
and you know that. I'll be honest, that's what touched as much as it was me getting rinsed for 5 minutes. It was like it was touching. That I was like, wow, like I can't believe he's had the balls to do this. You know, like just to stand up and create this song and then sing it in front of everyone. And almost harder because you know everyone there, like you know.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was though that afterwards, after you're shitting yourself at the start and also while you're doing it a bit, but then afterwards you're like, fuck man, I want to do another song. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. That was
Yep.
wicked.
Bingo, dude. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done music. I've done like a stand-up comedy type thing. it's the same way no matter what you do. Like
Yeah.
you do that little bit and you're like, fuck, I want to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there's something addicting. It's like a drug of its sorts, like in the natural body. And
Get
it's
bit
just
by that bug.
oof, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
guys should definitely think about once you bang this album out, doing some live.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think it would be something interesting to see. And you guys do a lot of like interesting sampling. I mean, there's a lot of potential with what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to bring like that real visual element to it as well. I mean, a lot of them do it with sort of projections and stuff, but you know, even with kind of props and things like that, or you know, I said it before, like you know, sort of people kind of dressed up or whatever, you know, just kind of make it a bit theatrical. I think that's something that we could do because you know we've got that sort of background with sci-fi and robots and
Have
you know,
fucking
so,
RoboCop bust out on
yeah,
it.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a full-size Ed 209, like just
There you go.
shooting out fucking t-shirts or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly,
I'm
man.
thinking it, man. This is
Yeah.
it. If anyone's got a real size Ed 209 they'd like to donate to us,
Buy
then-
t-shirts.
Get like a fog machine in the arm cannon, like you're good to go.
That's it. Yeah. Lights.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Uh,
So I had a question, kind of off topic from music and stuff. We are a cannabis friendly podcast. We like to cover, you know, weed news on all of our shows. And stuff. I wanted to
like
ask,
it.
what's the state of cannabis in the UK, or like what is it
Yeah.
getting better, getting worse?
Is it getting better or worse? I don't know.
It's just it's getting better in the sense that I think they realise that you know our resources over here are being cut massively, and you know that's an element that before they could maybe fight this war on drugs, like the shit that is, you know, and yeah, and then you know, and do that, and I don't know. I just feel like they've had to relax it. You know, they're not arresting people that have got certain amounts, and
Well, there's
you
the
know,
other
people-
bit with like the CBD side of it as
Yeah.
well.
Oh my god, yeah. The
Right?
level.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
there's shops popping up even in our little town, like CBD like shops selling
No.
Oh, wow.
selling
No
CBD
THC.
bud. You know,
Yeah, so there's no
Yeah.
THC in it. It doesn't get you stoned, but
Yeah.
it gives you that, you know, the same medicinal, you know,
Well,
things.
And,
Yeah,
and
so I
people
mean,
don't,
in that
people don't need like a
sense-
license to go in and buy from.
No,
Okay.
no.
No,
Yeah,
no.
you can-
Well, yeah, it's CBD.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents live in southern North America, which is, you know, pretty non-tolerant known to be, and they have CBD shops down there now, and you know, each walk,
Yeah.
just like it's
yeah, they're everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's just helping to lose the stigma about it a little bit. I think people that weren't aware are definitely more aware now.
Even, yeah,
And I think that's one of the big things, isn't it?
100%.
Just not being treated like a waste of space because you smoke a bit of weed.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Not being looked down
100%.
upon.
I think that is, you know, I'll stand by it. You know, it should 100% be legal. Like, I don't get it. I really don't understand it.
Yes.
Like, for me,
Mhm.
especially with what we've got over here. So we've got like obviously the NHS, and that's, you know, free healthcare for everyone, but it costs us taxpayers, I guess, still, you know, it's not free. It costs a lot of money, billions and billions to run this thing, and you know, there's massive restraints on them with cutbacks and stuff. And it's like if they just legalized weed and made it a government-run thing, and then all of the profit from that pumped it into the NHS would be fixed like literally overnight. Like
Oh,
you could
wow.
fund, you know, billions off of that. So
Yeah.
fund the
Tax
NHS,
money.
so,
Like
yeah.
Colorado's model, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it seems the UK is very similar to America, at least in like the youth, like, you know, consuming marijuana, like the party scenes. It all seems very similar. So I feel like
Yeah.
the tax revenue would be huge in young
Massive.
adults.
Absolutely
Massive.
massive. Massive.
Right? Yeah.
And I think on top of that as well, you know, I think I watched earlier today. Actually, it was really interesting. It was a TED Talks on addiction. I can't, you know, I think if you type that in TED Talks addiction, it'll be the one that comes up. And it was a really interesting thing that he spoke about, because he was talking about the theory of addiction come from when they were testing lab rats, and they had one bottle with cocaine and heroin mixed in with the water and normal water, and the rat would always go to the heroin cocaine one, and 100% of the time they'd OD in the end and die. And that's where the theory of addiction kind of come from. But then another scientist said, well, actually, let's do something different and change the environment. So what they've done is they had the same bottles of water, but made a rat village, and basically put other rats in there, put unlimited food, and made it a really nice place for these rats to run around and live and things to do. And even though the rats did take some of it occasionally, it was very occasionally, and hardly any of them overdosed. And then Portugal,
they only did it on like weekends after work and stuff.
Literally, yeah, that was it. They were very responsible rats. But funny enough, Portugal took this model. So this is where it gets interesting. So Portugal took the model on and said, because they had the highest drugs rates in the whole of Europe.
They opened up a rat village.
No, they didn't open up a rat village. But they basically said,
I'm pretty sure it was a rat village as well.
Problem solved.
What they did though,
rat village.
Look, Portugal, like, we love you. You're not a rat village. Yeah, it's a lovely country.
Is this a destination that I can vacation to? Rat village.
Yeah. Rat village, Portugal. Go there. It's beautiful.
4 stars, not 5 before.
Well, as Rat said, it's 1 star, but basically they legalized drugs over there. So they've legalized drugs, and they used all the money that from drugs, like I'm saying, put into the NHS. They used all of that to fund rehabilitation programs, give small business loans to people that were coming out of drugs and that, and they've more than halved death rates with drugs and users of drugs in that country by legalizing it. So, I mean, do the research.
It's good to see, other countries at least trying something different and looking at the outcome,
Yeah. Especially now the new thing in the United States is the legalization of magic mushrooms.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Colorado and Oakland have both.
Wow, really?
Legalized them.
I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't understand like the benefits of magic mushrooms as well. They think it's something that could fuck you up. Well, little do people know it rewires the brain. It serves PTSD. It can do a lot for a lot of
anxiety.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oakland decriminalized it, I think, so that like therapists could essentially prescribe it.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors, you hear like the fucking Silicon Valley CEOs microdose. A lot of people like use mushrooms for beneficial reasons, other than just like, I'm gonna trip balls, man.
Yeah.
That's
what
why
I do with it. No,
it's amazing to see we're in a time of progress, and it's just like the prohibition of alcohol in America, I feel like. But it should change over for weed, for hallucinogens, things like that.
So they use it to the point where it doesn't affect you. You don't feel it. Or...
Microdosing, yeah. So microdosing is, you would take a little bit at a time, and basically what it'll do is over time it'll enhance your mood, things like patience. You'll notice, probably small, pain relief too, I'd imagine. But you don't get the psychological effect of full on like it's altering your world.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's awesome, man.
A lot of people are big into the microdosing.
We're hoping to get a guest on to talk about it. That's been something we've been interested in.
We're trying to nail that down in the next month. Yeah, we definitely want to bring somebody on to really just like, at least to our crowd, dispel all the false facts.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow,
well,
that's good, man.
This has been great, man. I really am looking forward to this album. No pressure though. I know.
We'll wait.
Well, we've got a new single coming out soon, Fallen Fighter. So that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks as well. Hopefully. So yeah, I think that it's going to be a slow and steady. We are going to release singles that will be on the album, but hopefully we'll still have enough content for the album to make that land. That it's
So we want to. So we're thinking we could release one every couple of months.
Yeah,
so I was thinking, and that would take us up to the end of the year with like 5 songs released or something,
and then we can just and we can drop the album. So
nice.
Hopefully,
but that's the plan, man. So yeah, we definitely want to make it happen. We've got to have a goal. Go for it, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
And the next year, I think we've got to make the live thing work. I think we've got to force it to happen. I think just to make it happen with ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So that will
trying to do an album a year. Is that what we're thinking here?
Well, if we concentrate on if we do some live stuff next year, maybe concentrate on that a bit. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe the year after an EP or something. Maybe we'll release an EP towards maybe just some singles. Just do a few singles next year and
sort of depends on
time, maybe one every quarter or something instead. And then Yeah, like Tone said, concentrate on more live stuff next year, and then hopefully build, just keep building a fan base. We've definitely got a handful of people that follow us and comment a lot, and we really appreciate these people, because it's, I think that does, whenever stuff gets a bit strenuous and a bit tight for time, and got other things going on, I keep thinking, like, people do enjoy our music and do like it, and we love doing it, so let's make it happen. Life's too short.
Oh man, hell yeah,
absolutely,
hell yeah. Life is too short.
Too short, man.
And if people do want to find you and follow you on all that social media you're talking about, where's the best place, or how do they go about doing that?
It's probably our Instagram account is, and Facebook probably now as well. So Delta City Music on either of them two. We have just started a Twitter account, but we're not really big on that at the moment. But there is one
Twitter.
open.
Don't even waste your time.
Oh,
Jesse's still digging around in Twitter, and I'm like, I let him have his fun, but like, I'm like, Twitter's dead, dude.
That's where I talk to all the other podcasts.
The only reason we actually opened one up is because the BBC thing, wasn't it?
They tagged us.
They tagged us on Twitter. And it's like, we're not even on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess they decided our handle.
Being dictated to by the radio already, see. But
so also that, and also YouTube as well. We'll always, any single we release, we'll always try and put some sort of.
So Google Delta City Music, one word, and that should take you to YouTube or Insta or somewhere like that. Obviously, we're called Delta City, one word, as an act, but
otherwise you get some shopping centre in.
Yeah, there's a shopping centre in Detroit or something. Yeah. Annoying, man. I'm gonna make it rich
shopping center, people.
You guys will have to play there one time.
Delta City live at Delta
City. Oh, man, that's my new dream, man. You created my new dream. I love it. That's brilliant.
Oh, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have to have you on again. Maybe potentially when you're starting to plan out these live shows, or the next EP or full album, whatever you're doing.
The album drops, man. We'll maybe have a chat then or something, man. That'd be awesome. But
hell yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on. You guys are fucking awesome. We love you, and we'll keep an eye on you for sure. And all you other slackers should as well. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, that's it.
There you go.